Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. One thing I wanted to discuss in a short video today is Scarab rarity. How to find out how rare a particular Scarab you're interested in using is, both so that if you're a solo self-found player, you know whether or not it's a good idea to plan around having this Scarab, but if you're playing in Trade League and you want to know how volatile a price is likely to be, the rarer it is, the more likely it is that the price on that item can explode if a popular strategy emerges that uses it. This is the website POEDB. It has a whole bunch of data mine information about the game. I'll put a link to their map fragments page down in the description below. This lists all of the Scarabs as well as other map fragments that are in the game, and I've got it filtered to only show Scarabs at the moment. Fair warning, this will include legacy Scarabs. These should only exist in Standard League, Permanent Hardcore, and other permanent leagues. Some were definitely spawned in the Settlers League, but I do believe that they don't function anymore. That applies to some of the other higher profile ones, such as the Bestiary Scarab that forces the Black Morrigan to spawn. What you need to do here is find the particular Scarab you're interested in. Now, when you look at the page for that particular Scarab, for example, here's the classic Breach Scarab, you'll see that there's a number of little tags down the bottom. Scarab, Scarab grants extra content, Breach Scarab, and Common Scarab. Common Scarab is the important one here. There seem to be 5 different rarity tiers. Common Scarabs, Uncommon Scarabs, such as the Breach Scarab of Splintering, Rare Scarabs, such as the Horned Scarab of Nemesis. Note that this is the only one of the Horned Scarabs that is rare. The other ones are all higher rarities. Then you have a huge jump up to the Mythic Scarab tier. Mythic Scarabs are very rare in comparison to Rare Scarabs. And then there is a huge jump up again from Mythic Scarabs to the One Extreme Scarab, Horned Scarab of Preservation. So basically, don't count on ever seeing a Horned Scarab of Preservation. They do drop, but basically you should see them more like Sacred Orbs than anything else. They're not actually the best of the Scarabs to use, but they end up being made super rare as a safety valve by Grinding Gear Games, because ultimately this Scarab can effectively duplicate the effect of any other Scarab that turns out to be broken, and so they want it to be rarer than all of the rest of them. There's the Extreme Scarab, there's a whole bunch of Mythic Scarabs, there's the Rare Scarabs, the Uncommon Scarabs, and the Common Scarabs. How rare are these relative to each other? Well, there's been a bunch of testing that's easily done in Standard when people open large amounts of Veiled Scarabs. Veiled Scarabs are something that a lot of legacy items like Sextants got turned into, and people have large stockpiles of these in Standard as a result. Note that these do not mimic the effects of Remarkable Relics, and to the best of my knowledge, no one really knows how much of an effect Remarkable Relics has, or exactly what it does. It definitely biases towards seeing more of the rare, mythic, and extreme Scarabs, but exactly how that's done, we don't know. If you don't have Remarkable Relics allocated, your drops will be something like the following ratio: 30 of each specific Common Scarab, to 20 of each Uncommon Scarab, to 10 of each Rare Scarab, to 1 of each Mythic Scarab, and then the One Extreme Scarab is much rarer again, and we'd be making guesses if we were to try to predict how rare that one is. Key thing is, it's at least 3 or 4 times rarer than the Mythic Scarabs, and it's probably 5 to 10 times rarer. These data points are something that I've looked at from looking at reports of large-scale openings, many of which have been reported on the Prohibited Library Discord, which is somewhere that a lot of players try to share findings about the way the game works under the hood. Anyways, have a look at some of the Scarab rarities, and you might notice something. There are a number of Scarabs that players don't value very highly in Trade League, but they actually are a lot rarer than you might have thought from their Trade League price. For example, Scarab of Radiant Storms. This thing is quite clunky to use well, but Grinding Gear Games decided to make it mythic. What that likely means is that Grinding Gear Games have thought of some use cases for this where it might be potentially extremely powerful if they were to make it more common, and so for that reason they want to tightly control a number of these that are out there in the Trade League. That means that maybe there's some secret unexplored uses of some of these Mythic Scarabs. Of course, sometimes these Mythic Scarabs are just mythic because they're going to provide access to something that's meant to be a fairly rare encounter, and it grants unique items often, and Grinding Gear Games don't want to completely flood the Trade League economy with them, but the Trade League economy manages to flood itself pretty well with most of the Ultimatum uniques anyway, and so they don't end up being worth all that much there. That said, if you're playing in solo self-found, Ultimatum Scarab of Dueling might well be quite a good find, especially if you don't want to spend much time playing with Ultimatum, but you do want to get your hands on one of the uniques there. Anyways, hopefully that's been useful. Gonna keep this one short. May your Valorbs have interesting results, and may you drop interesting Scarabs.